How long did you spend deciding what to wear this morning? 5, 10 minutes? Did you know that, according to a recent survey, the average woman spends 16 minutes, probably tries on 2 outfits, and maybe have even spent 15 minutes the night before? I spend about an hour and a half on a Sunday planning what I'm going to wear for the week. It means that throughout her lifetime, a woman may spend 287 days deciding what to wear, and yet we all feel anxious, worried about being overdressed or underdressed. Often clothes literally are the stuff of nightmares. When people who haven't been to visit me at the London College of Fashion come to see me, they invariably say, I really worried what to wear this morning. I had no idea what to put on. And this is for men and for women. It's one of the reasons that I wear black, because people have come to expect this from me. They know that I'm going to be recognisable in a way that makes it easier for them. So clothes really do help us present ourselves to the world. After all, we need more than fig leaves. I used to wear a suit and tie to meetings because I got so fed up with being the only woman. I really wanted to try and make a point. And I also like to wear skulls printed on my scarves because, not that I'm obsessed with death, but I really like their subversive nature. So clothes help to connect us to society. They help to connect us, whether we like it or not. We will be instantly recognisable as belonging to a certain tribe. And that is one of the reasons that they are really so significant. They also allow us to be outraged and to be alienated. I mean, think about the hoodie, or maybe more recently, think about the impacts of the bikini. So they can outrage and they can alienate, but they can also be liberating. Thinking about trousers for women, and also the fact that in a way, as society has become more relaxed about dress codes, so in a way our society has become more democratised. Clothes also help to evolve us, not just our society. After all, we are a reflection of that. I mean, it's unlikely, or perhaps, that we are wearing clothes that we had when we were a teenager or we were in our 20s, not because they don't fit us anymore, but in a way they don't evolve unless we evolve. We need to make sure that we're connected in that sort of way. But do we think about the environment? We might have planned what we were going to wear, but do we think about the environment and the impact that those clothes have had? Have we thought about who designed them, who made them, who manufactured the fibre, for example, growing the sort of flax or the hemp, or looking after the cows, or the wool for their sheep? In a way, clothes will have a massive impact on the environment. I'm sure you've all got T-shirts, 2, 5, 10, 20. A T-shirt from crop to shop will take 2,700 litres of water. That's 34 bathtubs. Clothes have a massive impact in their production on the environment. And have you thought about the garment worker? If you've paid £1 for your T-shirt, you may think, yeah, that's a great bargain. But somebody's paid that price. Somebody like Alia Akhtar, who was a garment worker from the age of 9, who was also beaten and punched and kicked because she wanted to form a union that would give her some holiday pay, increases in terms of her wage. So you may think this is a great bargain, but actually somebody else has paid for it. So you could say that I'm on a mission. I'm a fashion activist who wants to change the world through fashion and clothing. It's partly a product of the way that I was brought up, where actually responsibility towards others, the sort of decisions that we make in our lives, that needed to be considered. And also, when I was a young art student in the early 80s, living at the Elephant and Castle, I saw immediately the effect that, in a way, a lack of education has on somebody's life chances. I became very committed to the idea that through education, and particularly through creative education, we have the opportunity to not just transform ourselves, but also the people around us and the society that we're a part of. And now that I'm head of London College of Fashion with 5,500 students from around the world studying every single aspect of fashion, if they graduate through their passion and commitment to understanding the sorts of implications that we're talking about, actually the industry can change. And because the industry is so vast, it's the second largest in terms of its economic intensity of trade. It's worth $3 trillion. To the UK economy, it's 28 billion. It employs 57 million workers from around the world. And if you're in a developing country, 80% of those are women. So small changes actually can have a massive impact. And what's very exciting is that because of the developments with technology and engineering and science, we're beginning to see some real ideas and almost a revolution in the way that we think about fashion and the fashion industry. For example, at the London College of Fashion, one of our professors, Helen Storey, has been collaborating with Tony Ryan, who's a chemist from the University of Sheffield. And they've been working on the idea that if you add a photocatalyst to the textiles of your garments, actually, as that photocatalyst reacts to light, so the pollution and the airborne particles around us will be broken down, and in a way, as we move around wearing our clothes, so the air will become purified. And this project, which is called Herself, has toured the world and has had a major impact in terms of how we think about the impact that our clothes can actually have beyond just making us feel and look good. There are also all sorts of health implications that are being looked at. At the moment, a bra is being developed that is able to detect much earlier issues around tumours for women. So they wear the bra for about 12 hours, and because it's a sports bra that contains about 16 sensors that store all sorts of data, it's able to monitor the changes in the tissue in a way far more effectively than any mammogram can do. And then there's also the impact that as 3D printing and so on begins to take off, so what is still really 19th century ways of producing goods is beginning to be challenged. We're able, through a digital file, working with a 3D printer, actually create this three-dimensional object. And fashion designers are beginning to explore that. Somebody like Iris van Herpen, who's a really cool designer, has had major, in a way, critical acclaim the way that she's using a 3D printer. So as ready-to-wear begins to take on the ideas within the couture and the catwalk, so too we as consumers can also become producers, because we will have our computer, we will have our 3D printer, and again can produce our own garments or accessories that more easily match our particular body shape. And so the issues of the garment workers and what that means to them begins to be improved and looked at in a different way. And then there's also the idea of how our clothes can address some of the issues around society. I'm sure you know probably better than I do that a child born today is likely to live till they're 103. Now, with electronic fibres, it being incorporated into our garments, so the administering of drugs, the idea that our clothes can heat up, warm down, maybe connect us better to our families because we'll be able to text each other through our clothes. That begins to have all sorts of implications for how we can use our clothes to better support us in all sorts of different aspects of our lives. But the reality is that unless those clothes look good or feel good, we just aren't going to wear them. We're just perverse like that. It was really interesting. London College of Fashion is part of the University of the Arts London, and our Chancellor is Grayson Perry. And he said to a group of London College of Fashion graduating students this year that he was very sorry, but essentially life is meaningless. Once everybody had stopped laughing and feeling rather anxious, he'd actually made it clear that they are creators. They can actually create purpose and meaning through their lives and really help address the world and sorts of issues that we're being faced with, rather as I've been describing. But I think it's more fundamental than that. I don't just think it's the creatives, I think it's every single one of us. We all have the opportunity to create meaning and to make a difference. So when we go out and buy our clothes, actually we should probably be prepared to pay a bit more. So the clothes reflect the real costs on the environment and also on the garment workers. But if we were to wear those clothes for longer, inevitably they become cheaper. If we extend the wearing of a garment by 9 months, we actually reduce its impact on the environment by between 20 or 30%. So if we spend a bit more time in the mornings when we're getting ready, perhaps being a little bit more creative with those 15 minutes, or maybe even spending 20, and actually finding that as the way of really thinking about what we wear rather than just going out and buying more stuff, we'll begin to really have an impact. So before I finish, I just would like to say that for me, fashion just isn't frivolous. It really does matter. Thank you.